back to the program, into ASEAN Hot Issues. Let's take a look at what's happening around your ASEAN community, starting in Indonesia with the latest updates concerning a volcanic eruption on Mount Sinabung that's been active for several years, since 2010. This is the first eruption, in the biggest one ever of 2018 so far, with the last eruption from this volcano in 2018. But luckily, according to reports, no casualties have been reported so far, and according to various updates here, various victims and locals within the vicinity have been able to make their evacuate before any kind of huge disasters of a big scale could happen.
That's right. As we can see on screen at the moment now, the smoke in which we can see coming from the volcano itself spread out 5 kilometers altogether, and the volcano itself is 2,460 meters high. It sent a hot cloud of ash in the southern and southeastern direction, as we can see at the moment, according to a volcanologist report. But the eruption did not disrupt flight paths, at the nearest city of Medan, and Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency said, as you mentioned, no casualties were reported. Now, of course, this volcano itself has erupted before in a few years back, causing some casualties, but however, luckily this time around, no casualties were reported.
Right, so we'll keep our eyes peeled to watch and monitor this volcano to see how it continues to spew out smoke and various smog all around the region, and we'll keep you posted on those developments as they continue. But with Indonesia being situated along the Pacific Ring of Fire, these particular seismic activities are quite common, not in the country alone, but the rest of the region also lying along the Ring of Fire. So occasional eruptions are not uncommon. So taking preemptive measures to prepare for such events has also been one of the priorities of Indonesia and this region as well.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนข่าวแรกของ ASEAN Hot Issue ไปกันที่ประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะซึ่งในหมู่เกาะสุมาตรานั่นเองนะคะมีภูเขาไฟซินาบุงค่ะบนเกาะสุมาตราของอินโดนีเซียก็ได้เกิดปะทุครั้งใหม่เมื่อวันจันทร์ที่19กุมภาพันธ์ที่ผ่านมาค่ะซึ่งภูเขาไฟแห่งนี้นะคะก็มีความสูงทั้งหมด 2,460 เมตรนะคะแล้วก็ตั้งอยู่ทางตอนเหนือของเกาะสุมาตราค่ะอย่างที่เราเห็นในขณะนี้นะคะกลุ่มควันที่เราเห็นที่ออกมาจากตัวภูเขาไฟเนี่ยมีระยะทางทั้งหมด5 กิโลเมตรนะคะก็ภูเขาไฟเนี่ยจริงๆแล้วก็มีการเริ่มปะทุขึ้นแต่ว่าไม่รุนแรงนะคะเมื่อตั้งแต่ปี 2010 ละอันนี้ก็ถือว่าเป็นครั้งที่ค่อนข้างที่จะรุนแรงแต่ว่าโชคดีไปที่ไม่มีใครเสียชีวิต
ใช่ค่ะก็มีการเตรียมการล่วงหน้าเพราะว่าได้เฝ้ารอการระเบิดของภูเขาไฟมาสักพักหนึ่งแล้วเราก็จะได้ติดตามดูนะคะว่าเหตุการณ์จะ develop เป็นยังไงบ้างแต่ว่า for now let's move on to Indonesia. Still in Indonesia, some other updates as well around the area now, heading over from Mount Sinabung over to Borneo. Now we have some updates coming from the central Kalimantan neighboring province here, where in a recent report a critically endangered Borneo orangutan has now been shot to death, enduring 130 bullets from air rifles, according to locals here, in addition to cuts and bruises because of a recent trespassing, according to locals, onto forbidden territory. So sad news indeed for environmentalists.
That's right. So the orangutan itself was found shot with air pellets, of course. It was with air rifles, a total of 130 pellets found. Now, this is the second orangutan that they found within this year itself. Earlier this year, last month, they found another orangutan in which they arrested 2 people for the cause of that, in which officials normally would say that it would be plantation workers or farmers who would be responsible for the situation, normally due to the fact that the orangutan might have trespassed into their plantation or farms and as well as destroyed crops. In this arrest, however, it was 4 farmers who were arrested, and they had claimed that the orangutan was destroying their plantation. They said that they used air rifles because they had no intention to kill the orangutan, just wanted to chase the orangutan away. Now, for the charges, all 4 of them were charged for killing of protected wildlife species, which has a maximum of 5 years in prison and a fine of $7,400 or approximately 236,800 baht. Also, besides that as well, a 13-year-old suspect was also arrested in this case, but was later released because he was still a minor as well.
Right, indeed. Sad news because the orangutan itself is considered a critically endangered species with 104,700 orangutans, Borneo ones, known existing currently according to the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And with that said, they're known for their broad faces and dark brown fur, as you saw sadly earlier in the footage right there. There are not very many left in the world, so a lot of movement has been taken to protect them. But due to this situation here, a lot of plantation owners and crops are having this difficulty balancing them.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมากันต่อที่ยังอยู่ที่ประเทศอินโดนีเซียกันค่ะแต่ว่าคราวนี้นะคะก็เป็นข่าวที่เกี่ยวข้องกับลิงอูรังอุตังนั่นเองค่ะซึ่งมีชาวอินโดนีเซียทั้งหมด4คนนะคะซึ่งมีอาชีพเกษตรกรก็ได้ถูกจับกุมข้อหาฆ่าลิงอูรังอุตังด้วยปืนไรเฟิลอัดลมนะคะยิงไปทั้งหมด130นัดนะเหตุเกิดบนเกาะบอร์เนียวนั่นเองค่ะสาเหตุเป็นเพราะว่าลิงเข้ามาทำลายพื้นที่เพาะปลูกของพวกเขานั่นเองโดยทั้งหมดทั้ง4คนเนี่ยค่ะก็ได้รับการสารภาพบอกว่าที่ใช้ปืนไรเฟิลอัดลมเนี่ยค่ะเป็นเพราะว่าต้องการที่จะขับไล่ลิงอย่างเดียวค่ะไม่ได้ต้องการที่จะฆ่าให้ตายผู้ต้องหาทั้งหมดนะคะก็ได้ถูกตั้งข้อหาฆ่าสัตว์คุ้มครองซึ่งมีบทลงโทษสูงสุดถึงจำคุก5ปีนะคะแล้วก็ปรับเป็นเงินทั้งหมด 7,400 ดอลลาร์สหรัฐหรือว่าประมาณ 236,800 บาทนั่นเองนะคะนอกเหนือจากนี้นะคะก็ยังมีผู้ต้องสงสัยอีก1คนนะคะเป็นเด็กชายชาวขออภัยค่ะวัย13 ปีซึ่งถูกจับกุมด้วยนะคะแต่ว่าได้รับการปล่อยตัวในเวลาต่อมาเพราะว่ายังเป็นผู้เยาว์นั่นเองค่ะ
ใช่ค่ะก็นับว่าเป็นครั้งที่2สำหรับปีนี้นะคะที่เกิดเหตุการณ์คล้ายๆแบบนี้ที่ลิงโอรังกุตังได้เสียชีวิตไปเพราะเหตุการณ์คล้ายๆกันนะคะแล้วก็จะคอยติดตามดูต่อไปว่าทางเจ้าหน้าที่จะดำเนินการยังไงต่อนะคะแต่ว่าเป็นเรื่องที่น่าเศร้าจริงๆสำหรับคนที่รักลิงแล้วก็คนที่รักธรรมชาติ but with that said we'll keep you posted on those developments but on a lighter note this time let's head over to see how different countries around ASEAN have been continuing to celebrate the Chinese New Year festivities while Chinese New Year kicked off on the 16th of February it seems celebrations continue and the celebrations and the residue carry on all over ASEAN with Myanmar celebrating Chinese Lunar New Year as well with lots of colors and festivities and performances whether it's the Chinese dragon or the lion dance parades and much more.
That's right. So according to the city chief minister, he has mentioned that the gathering of the Chinese New Year and the celebrations, we can say it's a proof that there are equal rights for everyone living there. That was quoted from the city's chief minister. Now, as you can see at the moment, this was the festivity that was going on in Chinatown in Yangon, and we can see Chinese dragon and lion dance parades going through crowds of onlookers, lots of reds, lots of colorful and auspicious symbols that mark the Chinese New Year. Now, of course, in terms of the population of Chinese people living in Myanmar, it accounts to about 3%. Nevertheless, of course, Chinese New Year still plays a big role no matter where the Chinese community stays.
Right, and the community is quite big with 3% amounting to more than 1.5 million people in Myanmar, million Chinese people in Myanmar celebrating these traditions. So you can imagine how big these events have been unfolding over the past week.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันบ้างนะคะในส่วนของวิธีการเฉลิมฉลองตรุษจีนในประเทศในอาเซียนกันบ้างนะคะมาเริ่มกันที่ประเทศเมียนมานั่นเองซึ่งชาวเมียนมานะคะก็มีหลายร้อยคนเลยทีเดียวในย่างกุ้งนะคะก็ได้ร่วมกันฉลองวันปีใหม่จีนเมื่อวันศุกร์ที่16กุมภาพันธ์ที่ผ่านมานะคะโดยทางรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงการเมืองเมียนมาได้กล่าวว่าการฉลองแบบนี้นะคะถือว่าเป็นการพิสูจน์ว่าทุกคนมีสิทธิ์เท่าเทียมกันนั่นเองอย่างที่เราเห็นในขณะนี้นะคะนี่ก็คือการฉลองในเมืองไชน่าทาวน์ของย่างกุ้งเราก็จะเห็นขบวนแห่มังกรแล้วก็การเชิดสิงโตนะคะก็เป็นเหตุการณ์ที่ถือว่าน่าประทับใจสำหรับชาวจีนที่เมียนมาค่ะ
ใช่ค่ะซึ่งก็นับว่าเป็นเกือบ2ล้านคนเลยทีเดียวนะคะ 3% ของประชากรเมียนมานั่นเองก็เป็น community ที่ใหญ่พอสมควร Malaysia let's take a look at what's going on in the Philippines as Filipino pet lovers come out to celebrate the Year of the Dog in their own way Filipinos have come out to take their canines to join in a parade to fashion and demonstrate and exhibit their dogs wearing various outfits of various colors and sizes.
Right. So this also occurred on Chinese New Year as well, and a total of approximately 50 dog owners and their canines came out in colorful dresses and outfits, parading, and as well as the pets were blessed by a Catholic priest as well. Now in the event itself, it wasn't just a beauty pageant, but also they also witnessed performances in terms of what is traditional for the Chinese New Year, including the dragon parade as well as the lion dance were also part of these festivities as well. So you can see at the moment this atmosphere is a very lively atmosphere which took place at a department store located in Manila.
What better way to celebrate the Year of the Dog than to have a dog join dog parades, your dogs in particular. But what's interesting is in China, one of the popular dogs of the past had been Pekingese dogs. But these days, you see them less and less because more people are opting for, say, Maltese, poodles, and Chihuahuas, for example. And here you can see them all demonstrating their mettle and also their styles.
That's right, but we can see that a lot of these dogs are still decorated or dressed up in the Chinese New Year theme. Lots of red here. We can see some of them dressed up in similar or matching outfits with their owners, which is a very adorable and lively sight indeed.
I'm sure many awards have been given that day for the parade.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันต่อที่ประเทศฟิลิปปินส์นะคะบรรยากาศตรุษจีนที่ห้างสรรพสินค้าแห่งหนึ่งในกรุงมะนิลานะคะก็ได้มีการพาสุนัขไปโชว์ขบวนพาเหรดแล้วก็แฟชั่นนั่นเองค่ะมีทั้งหมดประมาณ50 คนนะคะเจ้าของร่วมกับสุนัขของเขานะคะก็ได้เดินบนถนนของกรุงมะนิลาด้วยชุดของสุนัขที่มีสีสันสวยงามนะคะนอกจากนี้นะคะสุนัขก็ได้รับพรจากพระคาทอลิกอีกด้วยในงานครั้งนี้ก็นอกเหนือจากการมีการแสดงของน้องหมาแล้วนะคะก็มีการแสดงของสิงโตแล้วก็มังกรด้วย
ค่ะก็นับว่าเป็นอีเวนต์นะคะที่ได้เชื่อมวัฒนธรรมของหลายประเทศนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นประเทศจีนประเทศฟิลิปปินส์แล้วก็ทางคริสเตียนนะคะมารวมกันเป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันในงานนี้ก็นับว่าคงจะได้แจกรางวัลกันเยอะนะคะสำหรับcontestant แต่ละคนค่ะ With that, we take a short break though. When we come back, more colorful events coming up in ASEAN calendar. Don't go away.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back to the program. Into ASEAN calendar, lots of highlights coming up ahead.
ใช่แล้วค่ะกลับเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ในช่วงนี้ ASEAN Calendar ไปดูกันว่ามีอีเวนต์อะไรบ้างค่ะ
National Day in Brunei.When is Brunei National Day? Brunei National Day, or Hari Nasional Day in Malay, is always celebrated on the 23rd of February. This holiday marks full independence from the United Kingdom in 1984. It's the National Day of Brunei. History of Brunei National Day. At the turn of the 15th century, the Bruneian emperor under the leadership of Sultan Bolkiah emerged as an important power within the Malay archipelago, controlling several regions in Borneo. During the 19th century, the influence and domain of the Bruneian Empire was starting to wane, eventually becoming a British protectorate in 1888. Brunei was occupied by the Japanese during World War II, invading only a week after the attack on Pearl Harbor.Brunei was liberated by Australian forces in June 1945. In 1959, a new constitution was adopted that declared Brunei a self-governing state, though foreign affairs, security, and defense matters remained under the control of Britain. Despite a minor rebellion that was suppressed in 1962, Brunei's position as a UK protectorate was largely peaceful. On January 1st, 1984,Brunei gained its independence from the United Kingdom. The official name of the country is Sultanate of Brunei, Abode of Peace, or Negara Brunei Darussalam in Malay. Even though Brunei became independent on January 1st, 1984, British control formally ended on February 23rd, 1984. So it's this date that now commemorates Brunei's independence. How is Brunei National Day celebrated? This holiday was first celebrated on February 23rd, 1984. It's become a popular holiday with the national flag as a common sight in the streets and on buildings. A large parade is held in the National Stadium. It's also become a tradition for people to visit their mosques and offer prayers to celebrate the country's independence.
The 25th of February 2018, People Power Anniversary in the Philippines. People Power Anniversary is a nationwide observance and school holiday in the Philippines each year. This event holds a special place in the hearts of many Filipinos as they remember a revolution that restored democracy in the Philippines in 1986. What do people do? Many people celebrate People Power Anniversary by wearing yellow, which was the official color of the Laban Party, the rival political group that challenged the government back in 1986. Much of the festivities and activities occur in the city of Manila, particularly Epifanio de los Santos Avenue or EDSA, a major public road where people flock to visit. Activities include programs such as church masses and concerts. Many people also flash the Laban fight sign, which is an L sign using one's index finger and thumb. Media stations broadcast programs about the event through a live feed of street celebrations, documentaries about the revolution, and interviews with prominent political figures and personalities. The print media publish news and feature articles on stories related to this event. Public life. People Power Anniversary in the Philippines is a school holiday only, so both public and private schools are closed. Business remains open on this day. There is less traffic, especially in cities on this day, giving commuters a chance to enjoy a brief respite from rush hour traffic woes. There is no disruption of service in public and mass transport systems, with regular routes and schedules remaining intact. Background. The story behind People Power Anniversary traces back to events that occurred from February 22nd to the 25th, 1986. Masses of disillusioned people, mainly from urban Manila, staged a revolution on the streets of Manila. This revolution eventually led to the downfall of a government that many people saw as corrupt and oppressive. A major road called EDSA in Manila was the stage for crucial events that occurred during the revolution. Nearly 2 million people were protesting on the street at one point during this historical event. Many Filipinos consider the holiday as historic and important because the revolution changed and reformed the political system in the Philippines. People Power Anniversary was a working holiday on February 25th in previous years. It was not a day off for work or schools, but activities and ceremonies to celebrate the anniversary would continue to occur. In 2009, the Monday nearest February 25th was declared a special holiday for schools, both public and private. Symbols. Yellow symbolizes the revolution and also is the official color of the Laban Fight political party. The L sign, which is formed by one's index finger and thumb, is another symbol of the Laban party and the people's defiance of the authoritarian government at the time of the revolution. The 1st of March 2018, Makha Bucha Day. It was 9 full months after the Buddha got the enlightenment, on the full moon day of the 6th lunar month, 45 years before the Buddhist era. On the full moon day of the 3rd lunar month, Makha of the year, 4 special events happened. 1. There were 1,250 Sangha followers that came to see the Buddha that evening without any schedule. 2. All of them were Arahants, the enlightened one, and all of them were ordained by the Buddha himself. 3. the Buddha gave those arahants the principles of the Buddhism, called the Ovad Patimok. Those principles are to cease from all evil, to do what is good, to cleanse one's mind. 4. It was a full moon day. Another important event which happened on the same days, the full moon day of the third lunar month, 44 years later, the last year of the Buddha's life, he decided to parinippan or nirvana, leave the mind from the body or die. 3 months after that day, on the full moon day of the 6th lunar month, we know as Makha Bucha Day. Activities to be observed on Makha Bucha Day. Tambun, making merit by going to temples for special observances, making merit, listening to Dharma practices, giving some donations, and joining in the other Buddhist activities. Rapsin, keeping the 5 precepts including abstinence from alcoholic drinks and all kinds of immoral acts. Takban, offering food to the monks and novices in the alm bowl. Practice of renunciation. Observe the 8 precepts, practice of meditation and mental discipline. Stay in the temple wearing white robes for a number of days. Wien Tien, attending the candlelight procession around the Ubosot Hall in the evening of the Wisek full moon day. First of March 2018, Full Moon Day of Tabaung. Full Moon Day of Tabaung in Myanmar is a Buddhist holiday that comes on the full moon of the 3rd month of the Burmese calendar. That normally corresponds to sometime in March on the Gregorian calendar. The whole month of Tabaung is a time of celebration, colorful cultural events, and Buddhist devotion in Myanmar. Full Moon Day of Tabaung, also known Makha Bucha, is the highlight of it all. This is a time when Buddhist devotees will go to temples and make merit. It is also the time of the Shwedagon Pagoda Festival, the biggest one of the year in all of Myanmar. At the outset of this festival, there will be ceremonial offerings made to 28 different statues of Buddha. Then for 10 days straight, there will be recitals of various Buddhist scriptures.
March 2nd, Peasants' Day. Myanmar, also known as Burma, celebrates Peasants' Day yearly every 2nd of March. It is incidentally the General Ne Win's seizure of power in 1962. Ne Win is a military commander and a politician of Myanmar. He served 2 terms as the country's prime minister from 1958 to 1960, and another from 1962 to 1974. He was also the country's head of state from 1962 to 1981. He's also head of the country's powerful political party Socialist Program Party from 1964 until 1988. The party was the only party allowed to exist during the Ne Win's strict military rule, until he was ousted as a result of social unrest happening on 1988, known as the 8888 Uprising. During this day, various talks and development programs were laid down, discussed, and revealed for the improvement of the peasant sector, which is the country's flagship economy. History of Myanmar's Peasants' Day. The peasant sector occupies around 70% of Myanmar's population, and undoubtedly the most productive workforce in the country. Because of this, Myanmar recognizes the powerful control of farmers in driving the country's economic output. But it's the farming sector that usually suffers whenever a power struggle happens in the country, as rebels usually flee into the jungles of Myanmar to avoid prosecution and seek protection. The country has long been wanting to transform this country into a developed nation with plans to improve the industrial sector of society, but inadequate funding, corruption, and political instability halted the region from realizing its true potential. The entirety of the peasantry before 1965 experienced usury and inappropriate use of agricultural land. Farming lands were rented, and many of the farmers couldn't keep up with the rising cost of land rent. During this time, laws were passed to protect farmers against this practice and led to massive land reformation, and among them is the passing of Protecting Farmers Against Land Renting. These acts were all made under the military administration of Ne Win and continue until today. Most of the monumental reformation happened during his term and continued until his resignation in 1988 after an uprising. Today, Myanmar still focuses on the development of new technologies and laws to protect farmers from unfair land treatment and support their various causes, as the whole country's economy depends on this sector. Myanmar Peasants' Day: Traditions, Customs, and Activities. During the holiday, Myanmar's local leaders organize talks on reforms in peasantry around the country and present issues challenging the development of the agricultural field. Since this is a national holiday, public companies are closed, while some private companies remain open. Families and individuals may choose to remain indoors or visit local parks, pagodas, temples as well in the area. Also, trade and cultural shows organized around the country showcase these traditional crafts, culture, and arts.
And those were the events to mark your calendars. With that said, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back soon.
Stay with us. Welcome back to ASEAN Challenge. Into the show now, an ASEAN interview. We chronicle to you the timeline of the Rohingya crisis so we can understand the current status of their plight.
ใช่แล้วค่ะในช่วงนี้ค่ะ ASEAN Interview เราย้อนกลับไปดูวิกฤตโรฮิงญาว่าเกิดอะไรกันขึ้นบ้างค่ะไปชมกันค่ะ
Myanmar and Bangladesh have agreed to help refugees over the next couple of years in their repatriation back to Myanmar. However, considering the struggle between opinions of delivering and repatriating them back to their country, much has been brought to the table concerning obstacles and differences of opinion in sending them back to a country where they could otherwise not be protected as they return. All in all, both countries have agreed to help the refugees, while Myanmar has opened up a temporary center for children to protect them from harm, as well as to help refugees as they continue across the border for their first point of registration. In nearly 6 months, close to 690,000 minority Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar's troubled Rakhine state, they fled to neighboring Bangladesh, triggered by a military crackdown on insurgents in late August 2017. Rights monitors and fleeing Rohingya said Myanmar security forces and Rakhine Buddhist vigilantes have launched a campaign of violence and arson as well, aimed at driving out the Muslim population. Myanmar had said its forces were carrying out clearance operations against the insurgents of the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. which claimed responsibility for the August attacks and similar smaller raids in October 2016.
And I think it's a little unreasonable to expect us to resolve everything in 18 months.
The strife had triggered an outpouring of response from global bodies and humanitarian agencies. The UN Refugee Agency, or the UNHCR, said Rohingya refugees were continuing to flee across the border and had little or nothing to go back to.
Most have little or nothing to go back to. Their homes and villages have been destroyed. There are deep divisions between communities that remain unaddressed, and humanitarian access is inadequate.
This violence must stop. This persecution must stop. It's been characterized by many as ethnic cleansing. That must stop.
I think the problem is she's unwilling to confront the military. She's unwilling to say to the military, stop these atrocities, because she wants to get reelected, because she is afraid of them, and that's a wrong moral position.
Pope Francis had an emotional meeting with Muslim refugees in Bangladesh and used the word Rohingya to describe them for the first time on his Asian trip, calling for them to be respected. Myanmar State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi called the Rohingya crisis a complex issue which her government had inherited. She said in an interview that the strife between Muslims and other communities in Rakhine State had existed since the 19th century, and restoring trust and harmony would take time.
We condemn all human rights violations and unlawful violence. We are committed to the restoration of peace, stability, and rule of law throughout the state.
Periodically, trouble has broken out there between the Muslim community and the Rakhine community, and we have inherited this very complex problem, and we have to deal with it and we have to resolve it. So obviously it's not something that we can do overnight, and it's not something that we can find simple answers to.
Myanmar and Bangladesh agreed early January to complete the voluntary repatriation of refugees within 2 years, starting on January 23rd. Myanmar says it set up 2 reception centers and a temporary camp near the border to receive the first arrivals. Bangladesh later decided to delay the plan, saying the process of compiling and verifying the list of people to be sent back is incomplete. The decision came as tensions have arisen in camps holding hundreds of thousands of refugees, some of whom are opposing their transfer back to Myanmar because of what they say is a lack of guarantees of their security.
And that was the ASEAN interview for you this week and wraps up our show as well. We'll see you next week. As for now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ